Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the finale of our La-Mulana 2 showcase. Yes, we're going to end the playthrough here, specifically at 6 bosses killed. We will be killing our 6th boss in this episode, and with only about 70% of the items. We will get the last Sacred Orb. We've gotten a good portion of the ROMs, but very specifically, we're done. And it is time for us to, and because we are done, it is time for us to discuss why we are done. As you've noticed, as I hope I have made clear throughout the playthrough, La-Mulana 2 is not honestly a bad video game, but it gets very bad after this point. Very specifically, the problems that have been plaguing modern video gaming, specifically when it comes to Metroidvania design, are very, very rampant towards the latter half of La-Mulana 2. So much so that the final narrative segment of the game, Ragnarok, infinitely spawns a mini boss just randomly throughout the areas and expects you to either ignore or kill it multiple fucking times just for safe passage. And it's not fucking worth it. It just is not fucking worth it. Especially because a majority of the puzzles for La-Mulana 2, especially from this point on, have their solutions hidden in tablets in the underworld. It's the one field that I'm not going to be showing off at all because I refuse to go into the underworld. It's not fucking worth it. The underworld is loaded with a bunch of stuff that they don't warn you about going in, specifically explosive explosive gas that is prevalent throughout several major important screens. That if you attempt to use any of your more powerful sub-weapons on, will just continuously detonate over and over again, causing huge amounts of damage and knockback to Lumisa, and effectively making these rooms impassable until you decide to reset the room. And this becomes a problem because there are several instances of key items that you need to, have stability in the room in order to, successfully collect. The Eternal Prison field very specifically is one that I am glad that I am not showing off. I am of the personal opinion that it is way more difficult than the rest of the game, including, believe it or not, the final area. The final area of the game, which actually is a reference to the original Hell Temple, is only as difficult as it's supposed to be due to the upgraded enemies and the fact that there's a Ratatoskr mini boss in a majority of the rooms that you have to bypass. However, that is mostly just a bunch of combat trials. And the problem that La-Mulana 2 ends up having for me specifically is, well, it's not combat trials that end up being the issue. It's traversal through the fucking fields. Eternal Prison specifically ends up playing Spike Pinball with Lumisa a lot. And because you're playing Spike Pinball all the damn time, you're always at low health. Because you're always at low health, you never feel like you're safe at all. And you aren't safe at all as long as you're in Eternal Prison. Add on to the fact that the normal way for Lumisa to get into Eternal Prison specifically disables her fucking Holy Grail, means that you don't have the ability to go in and out of the area as cleanly as every other area in the game. To put it bluntly, at about 60% through the game, La-Mulana 2 becomes an entirely fucking different beast. Not only do fields start having much stronger and much more diverse enemy placements all throughout, but they end up placing these enemies specifically in areas that end up throwing you into environmental hazards all the damn time. So no, I don't want to actually show off the rest of La-Mulana 2. It's worth it. It's a good video game, and it is fairly challenging for the first 40 to 50% of it. And then you get to Eternal Prison, and it's no longer worth it. Which is why we're going to be showing off one of the highlights of the game instead, the Anu boss fight. I will say...
Toccata and Fugue. Polybius.
I don't know. Anyway, I will say that a majority of the boss fights are actually really fun. This one is no exception, despite the fact that we're going to be cheesing it out with Earth Spears. If you want to try Melee Anu, it is entirely possible. I don't know how, but it is entirely possible to Melee Anu down. I would not recommend it though. Just stick to the Earth Spears. The Earth Spears are just the Earth Spears are literally the best weapon in the game. Yeah, they do a decent amount of damage. They're super easy to use, and yeah, you can lean on them for almost every single boss. In fact, like the only boss that I know of that you can't lean on Earth Spears for specifically is Echidna, and the whole reason why is because Echidna is too high up. Literally every other one of the main bosses you can lean on Earth Spears for, and it's quite nice to be able to do so. I think that La-Mulana 2 is honestly a game that is worth experiencing the first half of, but worth putting down when you decide as the player that no, this shit is getting either too complicated in its puzzling or too stressful in its traversal in order to actually enjoy it. And that is a call that I have made, and it is a call that I know other people have made and other people have claimed to have made.
It does stink how you open up a game with the anticipation, I got work to do, and then after I put myself into it, the work is done, the game's over, and I win. No good game should get the player ready to like keep their eyes open for like a kill switch moment. And I've used the word kill switch as a gamer to determine by my personal criteria when is it time to turn the game off, or when is it time to end a run and start a new one. No, we're not starting a new run, but we did decide that the game is over.
Josh Hayes actually brings up an interesting point, specifically when it comes to his series on the worst MMO ever, when he describes the I quit moment, and what the I quit moment for a video game usually happens when a player is just absolutely overwhelmed with way too much information all at once that they're not actually processing, but they feel like they're missing out of stuff because they're not processing it correctly. And although they are usually right, it usually isn't that complex, but it feels that complex. And so the video game player decides, this isn't worth it, I'm going to go do something else instead. And to be perfectly honest, La-Mulana 2 hits that point after you unlock Eternal Prison. Because if you're going to complete La-Mulana 2, look up the fucking Wikia guides for it. Because otherwise, 90% of the endgame puzzle tablets are in the endgame puzzle solution tablets are in fucking Eternal Prison. And navigating Eternal Prison to find those is a fucking nightmare. It is not worth the trek to go in and out of the Eternal Prison as many times as it takes in order to find these fucking solution tablets. And you need these solution tablets in order to get through the game somewhat blind. So don't go into La-Mulana 2 blind. Very specifically, if you're gonna play La-Mulana 2, pick up a couple of guides for it, because it is worth playing with guides on hand. It very much is. It is a fun Metroidvania. It just gets way too much towards the back half.
Well, I mean, this also. I'm glad you described what other people have pointed out as a phenomenon that is shareable among gamers and gaming experiences. Is that moment of, I keep getting game overs, but I cannot figure out why. Because of an abundance of information, that it's hard to isolate the variable and determine what am I doing wrong and what can I do better. Honestly, it reminds me of when I almost rage quitted Resident Evil 6 in the Leon campaign. A moment that happens very early in the game, where I kept getting hit by an out of control subway while I was in the tunnel, because it took me a couple tries to figure out, oh, I should not be standing on the tracks. That's it. It comes down to just one thing. But in this game, it's not just, am I looking at one thing? No, there's like 15 things all happening at once, and you have to determine using time to figure out which is the iota of relevance and which is just there to clutter the screen.
All right, so to end off the playthrough, we're gonna show off the text of skulls that we've picked up. Every single one of the crystal skulls that we have has actually got an inscripted message on it that we can use our skulls app in order to decode. These are written by the Anunnaki and then sent back down in order to be interpreted by the race of giants that was on the planet at the time when when the Anunnaki first flew by Earth. Yes, the Anunnaki are aliens.
Well, that dude looked like a party alien. He was dancing, bro, and then we killed him. Puny serpentine dumbasses.
Yes, they're referring to the second children.
Foolish, puny little snake dumbasses. Dumbass snakes crawling on that. This is just making me feel dumb. Alright, everyone. This has been the Rocket Rabbit's incomplete playthrough of La-Mulana 2.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for a more complete playthrough in time.
Indeed. Be safe, everybody.